In a world where loyalty supersedes legality, a shadowy network emerges, veiled beneath the facade of restoration. The Chechens, under the banner of their leader, exercise dominance, deciding who thrives or falters in the ruins of Mariupol. They orchestrate the fate of construction contracts, oversee metal trade, and seize remnants of Ukrainian enterprises. Investigative journalists reveal that Kadyrov's people control at least 17 businesses across the occupied regions of Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. This intricate web operates on a foundation of obedience. Each new factory symbolizes a triumph for loyalty. The Kremlin rewards its allies, granting trophies to Kadyrov, and Mariupol stands as the gem of this transaction. Amidst the chaos, laws dissolve into mere whispers, replaced by the decrees of Kadyrov's clan. When his troops first marched into Mariupol, they declared their intent to seize the city's metallurgical treasures. What was once a symbol of Ukrainian industry is now a Chechen prize. Kadyrov has positioned himself as the arbiter of security, but it's clear his fighters prioritize tribal loyalty over the well-being of the populace. Modern machinery vanishes, dismantled piece by piece, as equipment is stripped, sold, or shipped away. Reports indicate that a staggering $220 million in resources has been redirected to Russia, disguised under the guise of restoration. Yet, the reality is grim. Workers tear the factory apart, and essential equipment disappears amidst contracts and debts reminiscent of a bygone era. At the helm stands Alash Dadashov, a man closely tied to Kadyrov's inner circle. He governs the flow of industrial gas from Mariupol, with connections extending all the way to Roscosmos, the Russian space agency. The ugly truth lurks beneath the surface. While the world watches the glimmer of reclamation, the town's soul is being bartered for loyalty, and profits reign supreme. In this theater of power, the stakes rise. Who will challenge the constants of oppression? Will anyone rise to reclaim their city from the iron grip of Kadyrov's people? As the story unfolds, the dissonance between the claims of restoration and the reality of despair thickens, echoing through the empty streets of Mariupol. In the previous segment, we uncovered the unsettling connections between the Chechen businessman Alash Dadashov and the influential figure Ramzan Kadyrov. It was revealed that this network controls vital industrial gas supplies from Mariupol to even major clients like the Russian space agency. Now, let's delve deeper into the machinations behind the facade of recovery in Mariupol. In the background of supposed reconstruction, a shadowy network thrives on chaos. The Russian space agency now buys products from factories seized in the turmoil. This isn't just a restoration, it's a reshaping of power. Each new goal, every warehouse, and every metal container is a piece of a sinister puzzle laid out by commanders eager for control. If someone dares to resist, they are simply erased from the equation. In this lawless new economy of warfare, the term restoration has been distorted. It means division and domination. Mariupol is merely the beginning. Kadyrov's forces pushed beyond, seizing factories, agricultural firms, and gas facilities throughout the Donbass. This operation propelled them to control at least 17 enterprises across the occupied territories of Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. They've cornered gas production, dominating machinery once crucial for microchip manufacturing, now redirected to Russia. Ukrainian business owners Sergei and Alexei Waxman, faced with despair, burned their own property rather than let it fall into enemy hands. Meanwhile, in Kherson, Chechen entrepreneurs dominate the grain market. Elbek Zai, a brother to a prominent Chechen commander, buys up devastated crops, coercing local farmers to sell at rock-bottom prices. The grain is funneled into Russian structures like a ruthless export scheme. What is the true cost of this twisted economy under Kadyrov's regime? Is it a mere game of power, or does it signal something far more sinister for the people caught in its snare? As tension mounts, Mariupol stands on the brink of transformation, one that could obliterate its very soul. In the Zaporizhia region, a grim dynamic unfolds. A Chechen-controlled entity capitalizes on Ukrainian farmland, purchasing crops at suppressed prices. Farmers feel cornered, facing threats that leave them with no choice but to comply. The grain they sell vanishes into Russian markets, masquerading as humanitarian aid. While the war-torn landscape around them bears the scars of conflict, this operation reveals an insidious reality wrapped in the guise of restoration.
As whispers of restoration echo through this devastated landscape, local authorities merely sign documents, while true power lies with armed individuals ready to enforce their will. The metal, grain, and energy resources, every vital asset, slip under Chechen oversight. The Kremlin paints a picture of declamation, asserting that recovery is underway, but the reality on the ground tells a different story. Ukrainian factories labor intensely, but their output no longer benefits Ukraine or Russia. Instead, it nourishes the pockets of Kadyrov's men, cementing their grip on the region. Is this the new face of recovery? From the outside, Mariupol appears revitalized, gleaming roads and fresh buildings glisten in governmental propaganda. Yet beneath this polished facade lies a fragile existence. The streets are patrolled by figures bearing the Chechen flag, their presence a constant reminder of dominance. Local residents express shock and unease, navigating a world where fear dictates every interaction. The atmosphere is charged. One misstep could cost someone dearly, as echoes of the tumultuous 90s resurface in daily life.
In this tense environment, a Russian entrepreneur reveals the bitter truth. The Chechen controllers demand 15% from every contract, an informal tax that hinders honest business and stifles hope. Without their approval, construction projects falter. With each passing day, the reality for Mariupol's inhabitants worsens: rising prices, dwindling work opportunities, and the influx of newcomers from across Russia, each step reshaping the city's identity, obscuring its history. What future awaits this beleaguered city? As the iron grip of power tightens, who will have the final say? While the facade of restoration teeters, a darker agenda unfolds, stripped bare of any genuine vision. The heart of Mariupol beats on, but its soul remains in jeopardy, ensnared within a deadly game of loyalty and dominance. Will the struggle for survival give rise to a new narrative, or will history repeat itself once more? In a city torn apart by conflict, the story of Mariupol unfolds, a story of survival, oppression, and betrayal. As the rubble that once defined home transforms into a facade of hope, the reality is far darker. The struggle for power is overshadowed by a new order, one governed by fear and chaos. The absurdity of this reconstruction is palpable. Entrepreneurs lament as they share how the Chechen overseers extract up to 15% from every contract they sign. Without their approval, no concrete or metal can be moved. What was once a thriving hub for industry is now a colossal scheme, camouflaged under the guise of restoration. Meanwhile, money flows seamlessly into the pockets of Chechen bosses, reinforcing their grip on power. As foreign hands impose new rules, life for Mariupol's residents deteriorates. Prices soar, jobs disappear. Newcomers from distant regions of Russia and the Caucasus replace those who once called the city home, eager to erase the memories of Ukraine. In the hushed tones of a local woman recounting her fears, a chilling thought emerges: this is no longer our Mariupol. The ambience is heavy with trepidation, especially as evening descends. Street lamps flicker, casting fleeting shadows as people hurry home. Fear grips them, fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of being seen, fear of the watchful eyes of armed men patrolling the streets. Tensions erupt during an incident at the beach when locals confront Chechens encroaching on their space. A commander's forced apology only highlights the underlying power dynamics. They are reminders that laws are dictated not by the state but by Kadyrov's reign. The dichotomy of authority becomes evident. Moscow may nod in acknowledgement of the Chechen control, but in reality, it supports this arrangement. Kadyrov is not merely a puppet leader, he's a linchpin of loyalty for a regime that's willing to overlook the brutalities in favor of stability. In Mariupol, the facade of Russian administration crumbles, revealing a web of Chechen overseers pulling strings behind the scenes. Chillingly, the Prime Minister's assurances of rebuilding Donbass resonate hollowly. Large contracts rest in Kadyrov's hands, his influence stretching across construction, metal, logistics, and grain industries. It's a simple scheme, federal funds meant for restoration dwindling down into a few greedy pockets, all while the city hangs in a precarious balance between its past and an uncertain future. What remains to be seen is whether any flicker of hope can reignite amidst this tightening grip of Chechen control. Can Mariupol reclaim its identity, or is it destined to be lost forever under a weight of foreign ownership and fear? The battle for its soul is far from over. In this harrowing tale, we uncover the grim reality of Mariupol, once a thriving city now reduced to a battleground of power struggles and exploitation.
Promised restoration has turned into a facade, masking a sinister takeover by Chechen forces.
With each passing moment, we witness how Kadyrov's empire expands, moving deeper into the heart of Ukraine, with the Kremlin turning a blind eye to the chaos it incites. As the city crumbles, who truly benefits from its so-called revival? The previous section unraveled the alarming concentration of power under Kadyrov, tying his operations to significant government contracts, dwarfing the will of the people. The federal funds meant for reconstruction now serve a different purpose, perpetuating a tight grip on the occupied territories. Under the guise of rebuilding, enormous funds flow into the pockets of Chechen businessmen. While videos depict gleeful families and hopeful futures, the actual story pulsates with corruption and greed. The Kremlin, rather than rectifying this injustice, seems to flourish in the chaos, relying on Kadyrov as a loyal asset.
His defiance, unrestrained, promises action toward the far-reaching ambitions of warfare, whereas others stay silent. Mariupol has morphed into a trophy, stripped of its identity, and forged only into a stronghold of fear and oppression. Every factory that rises, every road that's paved, serves Kadyrov's appetite for conquest, not the people. Security now lies in the hands of armed guards, determining who thrives and who suffers. Do the so-called restorations foster a new life? Or are they merely a means to lay claim to what was once cherished? Gazing at the renewed streets, can anyone spot the agony hidden beneath the surface? As the scene shifts, the chilling truth unfolds. Mariupol represents a strategic victory for Kadyrov. The old Ukrainian ethos is overshadowed, swallowed by a regime that thrives on domination. For the citizens, it is not reclamation but an era of survival in uncertain times. How does one navigate a life amidst such fear? The heartfelt whispers of loss send shivers through the air, echoing the price of this political game. This is not the restoration the world thinks it is, this is outright war by other means. Each proud structure, each endeavor flaunted on national screens, beckons the facade of normalcy while concealing the dark underbelly of profit and control. As we delve into the harrowing reality of Mariupol, it's evident that the city is not simply a casualty of war, it has become a battleground of power and control, stripped of its true identity. Reports flood in of smiling families and promotional videos, showcasing a facade of rebuilding. Yet, behind these cheerful images lies a grim truth: the city is now a prize claimed by those seeking to exploit it. Chechen forces have established a monopoly over local businesses, including construction and metalworks, all while masking their actions under the guise of utilizing Donbas. Though the war has supposedly ended, the structures of control persist. Mariupol is more than a city in ruins, it symbolizes a perverse form of governance, where cliques dictate the terms and the meaning of restoration is but a euphemism for division and conquest. As we uncover the layers of this grim transformation, we must question, who truly benefits from this so-called rebuilding? The answer lies in the shadows of power, where every brick is laid atop the remnants of lives shattered by conflict. Would you dare to dream of a future within these walls? Imagine a shattered city, once a beacon of industry, now rebuilt not for its weary residents, but to feed a shadowy network of power. What if the promise of restoration hit a ruthless takeover, where outsiders seized factories, homes, and futures under the guise of order? In the heart of Donbas, this nightmare unfolds, drawing you into a web of control that smells of scorched metal and echoes with the clang of looted machinery. Could one man's loyalty reshape an entire region? Russia vowed to revive this war-torn place, pouring resources into new homes that rise like fragile illusions amid the rubble. Yet, these structures aren't for the locals, they serve a stricter purpose, enforcing a new regime. Chechen builders hammer away at the foundations, their sweat mixing with the dust of destruction, while the air hums with the low rumble of guarded convoys. Factories, once pulsing with life, now stand under Chechen watch, their gates creaking open only for those who swear allegiance. Even trade routes twist through Chechen hands, bartering goods like prizes in a forbidden game. The iconic Ilyich plant, its name etched by Kadyrov's inner circle, bears the scars of this shift. Feel the chill of betrayal as remnants from Azovstal, twisted beams and forgotten tools, are hauled away in the dead of night, the screech of loading trucks piercing the silence. Shipped to Russia, they're melted down as scrap, their worth siphoned off like a thief in the fog.
Why would such treasures vanish without a trace? In Donbass alone, Chechen forces claim at least 17 massive enterprises. Their grip tightening on construction sites where cranes groan under heavy loads, on grain silos bursting with the earthy scent of harvested fields, on metal forges belching smoke, and even gas plants whispering promises of fuel. The city's soul feels alien now, its people neither fully Ukrainian nor Russian, adrift in a no-man's land of occupation. This isn't revival, it's conquest, a gleaming Chechen trophy hoarded after the storm. Picture the chaos. As the assault faded, the city fractured like glass underfoot. Military brass and Kadyrov's loyalists carved it up, their voices booming in hasty deals. They snatched every scrap, building contracts slick with fresh ink, warehouses stuffed with echoing crates, piles of metal glinting in the sun, and silos heavy with grain that crunches under boots. On paper, Russia holds the reins, but whispers in the shadows reveal the truth. Chechen strategies pull the strings, their influence as unyielding as the cold steel they command. BBC investigators uncovered the scandal, tracing metallurgical giants, once proud symbols of local might, to Chechen tycoons nestled in the Karakay Valley. These plants, previously under Yeremiev's name, now bow to new masters, kin to a Russian official whose city's mayor lingered in the shadows of Boris Nemtsov's tragic end. A modest entrepreneur, once obscure, now wields dreams beyond ordinary grasp, his fingers closing around empires in places like Russia's Obninsk, where the old Stark facility morphs into Ilyich's domain. Tens of thousands once toiled here, their hands calloused from endless shifts. The air thick with the tang of molten iron. Officially, it's cleanup under Yeremiev's watch, but reality bites harder. Chechen enforcers and fighters, backed by formidable allies, dictate every move. At the plant's edge, Akhmat outposts loom like silent sentinels, green Chechen flags fluttering against the wind, their fabric snapping like warnings. Locals huddle in doorways, their voices trembling as they share tales, the metallic taste of fear on their tongues. Chechens choose who labors under the harsh lights, who starves in the dim outskirts. They award building deals amid the thud of hammers, route metal cargoes with the rumble of engines, and parcel out leftover Ukrainian assets like spoils from a bitter feast. But as control deepens, a darker question lingers: what happens when loyalty demands even more, and the next factory falls silent forever?